In this video, I want to talk about how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Here I made a flowchart about some cases that you might have when solving quadratic equations. So first is always take out the common factor. That is the first step. For example, if you have 2x squared plus 8x equals to 0. Between these two terms, the highest common factor are 2x. So take it out. The rest is just x plus 4 equals to 0. And then we use the null factor law, like 2x equals to 0, or x plus 4 equals to 0. For of you who don't know, the null factor law it's about the product of two objects, let's say a times b equals to 0. One of them must be 0, either a equals to 0 or b equals to 0. So we use this principle. When we have the product of two things equals to 0, we use this. We call it null factor law. Or you have two terms, but you need to use this formula. So when you have a squared minus b squared form like this, you can convert into the right side of the equation, a plus b times a minus b. We call it difference of square formula. For example, if you have x squared minus 16 equals to 0, so you can assume that you can say that x is a and b is 4. Or maybe you can write like this first, x squared minus, because 16 is the same as 4 squared. So you write 4 squared equals to 0. And then you can know that x is a and 4 as b. And then you can convert into the right side of the equation from this formula, a plus b and a minus b. So a plus b, x plus 4, and a minus b, x minus 4 equals to 0. So x equals to -4 or x equals to 4 from each of this bracket. Another example is 25x squared minus 81 equals to 0. Before we apply this formula, we need to write 25 as 5x and then put the bracket and then with the square like this, 5x, make it with the bracket and then put square. And then 81 is 9 squared, so now put 9 squared here. So we can know that a is 5x and b is 9. And then we can follow the pattern. So 5x plus 9 and then 5x minus 9 equals to 0. Make each bracket equals to 0. And then you solve for x. So 5x equals to -9. And then divided by 5, so x equals to 9 minus 9 over 5. Or here, 5x equals to 9 divided by 5, so x equals to 9 over 5. Sometimes you can directly apply this formula, but you need to take out the common factor first before you use the difference of square formula. For example, if you have, let's say, 8x squared minus 18 equals to 0. Now 8 and 18 is not perfect square, so you cannot convert into a squared and b squared first. So what you need to do is you need to take out the common factor between 8 and 18, which is 2. Take out 2. And then the rest is just 4x squared minus 9 equals to 0. Now 4 and 9 are perfect square, so you can write like this. So 2x squared minus 3 squared equals to 0. Now we need to get rid of this. So divided by 2 both sides of the equation. So 2x squared minus 3 squared equals to 0 divided by 2 is 0, so still 0. And then you can apply the formula. A plus b bracket a minus b. So 2x minus plus 3 and then 2x minus 3 equals to 0. Make each bracket equals to 0. And then solve for x. 2x equals to -3. Divided by 2, both sides, so x equals to -3/2. Or this one, 2x equals to 3. Divided by 2, both sides, so x equals to 3/2. Now, another case, if you have 3 terms. When you have 3 terms, I split it into 3 possibilities. First is when a equals to 1. And then the second is when a is not 1. And the last one is using perfect square formula. So first, I'm going to talk about when a equals to 1. For example, if you have x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals to 0. So what you need to do is you make the 2 bracket like this, equals to 0. You put x here on each bracket. And then you need to find a number here. I write p and q. So this is the requirement. The product of p and q must be equal to c, which is 2 in this case. So it must be equal to 2. And then requirement number 2 is when you add p and q, it must be equal to b. So these 2 numbers, when you add, must be equals to b, which is 3 in this case. Now the factor of 2 is only 1 times 2, or we can try -1 times -2. But since the addition must be equal to 3, so the only combination that is work is 1 and 2. So 1 times 2 is 2, and then 1 plus 2 is 3. So once you have the 2 numbers, you just plug it in here, plus 1 and plus 2. And then make each bracket equal to 0, and then solve for x. So x plus 1 equals to 0, or x plus 2 equals to 0. Solve for x, subtracting both sides by 1, so x equals to -1. Or x equals to -2. Another example is like this, x squared plus x minus 12 equals to 0. Same thing, make a 2 bracket like this, equals to 0. You put x in here, find the 2 numbers. If you multiply equals to c, this time c is negative. So one of them, either p or q, must be negative and the other one is positive. So -12, and then if you add it, must be equals to 1. So 12, we can try 1 and 12, 2 times 6, 4 times 3. Now, because the result of multiplication is negative, the most easy thing to do to find the combination is to find the difference that should be equals to this one, b. So 12 minus 1 is not 1. 6 minus 2 is not 1. But 4 minus 3 or 3 minus 4 is basically 1, the difference. So we can try this combination. 4 times 3 is 12, but it's supposed to be -12. So you need to put minus on one of the numbers. When you add it, it must be +1. So you need to put minus on the smaller number. So try 4 and -3. This is correct. 4 plus -3, which is the same as 4 minus 3, which is 1. So this is also correct. So put it in here, +4 and -3. And then as usual, make each bracket equals to 0. So x plus 4 equals to 0, or x minus 3 equals to 0. And then you solve for x, subtracting by 4 both sides. So you get x equals to -4, or x equals to, add by 3 both sides, x equals to 3. Now another case is when when a is not equals to 1. So in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So you can use this format. So for example, if I have 4x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals to 0. So the structure or the format that you need to remember is 1 over ax plus some number that we need to find, and then ax plus another number that we need to find q. So you write 1 over 4 here for x. Just leave it blank, no need to write p. And then bracket for x again, leave it blank, equals to 0. You need to find the two numbers. If you multiply equals to, well, this time is different. It's not just c like the previous one. This one must be equals to a times c. The a is 4 in this case, and c is negative 6. So 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. So the product of two numbers that you need to find must be equals to negative 24. And when you add it, must be equals to same thing, b. So b is minus 5, so must be equals to negative 5 in this case. So again, when the product of two numbers equals to negative number, the easiest thing to do is you find a combination, but the difference must be equals to 5. Just don't bother with the sign for now, okay? So either 1 times 24, but the difference is not 5, so it's not work. How about 2 and 12? 2 and 12 is not 5, the difference, so it will not work again. 8 and 3? 8 minus 3, the difference is 5, so it might work. So, but you need to put minus on one of the numbers, either 8 or on 3. Which one? Because when you add it must be equals to negative 5, so you need to put minus on the larger number. So the largest number is 8, so you put minus in here. So minus 8 and then positive 3. If it's correct, and then minus 8 plus 3 is minus 5, is correct. So put it here, minus 8 and then plus 3. Now pay attention with each bracket. So here for x minus 8 is having common divisor, which is 2. Sorry, which is 4. So take it out. So 1 over 4. Take out the common factor from this bracket, which is 4. So 4. The rest is just x minus 2. And then this one is 4x plus 3. Now this cancel out, right? So it will be x minus 2, 4x plus 3. And then as usual, we make each bracket equals to 0. X minus 2 equals to 0, or 4x plus 3 equals to 0. So solve for x, we'll get 2, or 4x equals to negative 3, x equals to negative 3 over 4. Another example is when you can use the factor by grouping, like you make it into 4 terms. This one. So when you have 4 terms, you can factor by grouping each of the 2 terms. Take out the common factor like this. So for example, if you have ax plus bx plus kay plus kby, you group each of the 2 terms, and then you take out the common factor between each group. So on this one, you have x, so you take out x. And then on this one, you have k and y, so take out k times y. And then from here, both you have bracket a plus b, so take out a plus b, and the rest is just x plus ky. Yeah. So we call it factor by grouping. So we can use this concept to factorize the quadratic equation that have 3 terms with a is not equals to 1. Okay, use the same example. 4x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals to 0. Now we already solved this, right? We get the answer x equals to 2 or x equals to -3/4 using this formula. Now, if we use this factor by grouping, the first step is similar. We need to find the two numbers that must be equals to a times c, which is -24. And then when we add it, equals to b, equals to -5. Now, we already found this, the two number, which is -3 and -8 and 3. So once you have the numbers, what you need to do is you split the middle term into two terms that contains these two numbers with the x. So like this, so 4x squared minus 5x is split into -8x and 3x. So -8x and +3x, and then -6 equals to 0. Now you have four terms. What you need to do is you group each of the two terms, and then you take out the common factor between each group. So the first group is 4x squared minus 8x. So the common factor is 4x. So you take out 4x. The rest is just x minus 2. Same thing with the second group. The common factor is 3, so take it out. And then the rest is just x minus 2 equals to 0. Now between these two terms, both have x minus 2, so take it out. And the rest is just 4x plus 3 equals to 0. As usual, once we have the product of two things equals to 0, we use the null factor law. We make each bracket equals to 0. 4x plus 3 equals to 0, and then solve for x. So x equals to 2, or 4x equals to -3. X equals to -3/4. So either you use this way or this way. We call it splitting middle term. So which one is more convenient to you? Up to you. Either this or this, splitting middle term. Now the last possibility is we can using perfect square formula. There are two formula. The first one, a square plus 2ab plus b square, we can convert into bracket a plus b square. And then the second one is just similar like this, but it's just minus on the middle term. So it will be a minus b bracket square. So this is useful when the number a and c is really big. For example, like for example, like this, 81x squared minus 90x plus 25 equals to 0. Now you can use this, right? Because a is not 1, so you can write the 1 over 81 and then put the bracket 81x equals to 0, and then find the two numbers that equals to 81 times 25. But this is really big, like too many combination. This is really time consuming, so this is not ideal, not efficient. So instead of using this way, we can use the perfect square formula. But you can use the perfect square formula only if the a and c are perfect square. So there is a chance that if the first and the last term are perfect square, there is a chance that you can use the perfect square formula. Okay. Oops. So we know that 81 and 25 are perfect square. So what you need to do is you need to rewrite 81 as 9 squared. So write like this, 9x, put with bracket, and then square. Just leave the middle term, 9 minus 90x, and then write negative 25 as 5 squared. Now the structure here, you have minus on the middle term, so you need to use formula number 2. So you can imagine like A is 9x, and then B is 5. So you need to test that is the middle term is equals to negative 90x, like minus 2ab is equals to negative 90x or not. So what you need to do is find out that minus 2 times a times b is equals to minus 2 times 9x times 5. Minus 2 times 9 is negative 18. Negative 18 times 5 is negative 90. So negative 90x. So it's the same. If it's the same, then you can just convert this left side of the equation to the right side of the equation. A minus b bracket square. So this will be a minus b. So 9x a minus the b is 5 bracket square equals to 0. Now once you have this, you don't bother with the square. So just make 9x minus 5 equals to 0. Well, actually, you take square root both sides. Okay, so the square root are cancelled with the square. Okay, square root of 0 is 0, so still 0 on the right side. And then you solve for x. So x equals to 5 over 9. So this is really useful when you have a big number of a and c, because it's not efficient if you use the second way, too many combinations to find p and q. I mean, 81 times 25 is really big. So instead of using this way, you can use the perfect square. As long as the a and c are perfect square, and the middle term is the same thing as minus 2ab. Once it's the same, so you can convert into the right side of the equation, a minus b bracket square. Okay, I'll show you another example. Nine x squared plus 36x plus 36 equals 0. Now this is also big number, a and c, 9 and 36. But 9 and 36 is perfect square. So instead of doing this, we need to use perfect square. So you need to write 9x squared as 3x like this, 3x squared. Leave the middle term like this, don't change. And then write 36 as 6 squared equals to 0. Now we need to test. So since the middle term is plus, you need to use the first formula. So 2ab. We know that a equals to 3x and b equals to 6. So 2ab equals to 2 times 3x times 6, which is 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So 36x. So it's the same. So we can convert into the right side of the equation. A plus b square bracket square. So 3x plus 6 square equals to 0. Take the square root both sides. So this is cancelled. So 3x plus 6 equals to square root of 0 is 0. Then you solve for x. X equals 2 divided by 3, so negative 2. So I think that's all the possibility that you might have when solving quadratic equations. Either you have two terms using the difference of square formula. You have three terms. You have a equals to 1. You need to use this formula. Or when you have a is not 1, you can use this. Or you can split the middle term into two terms. So you will have 4 terms. You can use this way, factor by grouping. Or if you have three terms, but the A and C is really big, you can use the perfect square if A and C are perfect square. And then you need to test that the middle term is the same thing as 2ab or minus 2ab, depends on the question.